Afternoon. This is Welcome to my channel. This is Reader Takes, and today I want to talk to you all about an Asian literature piece that I actually gotten to read. It's called The Paper Managerie by Ken Liu. The story is full of lots of problems. Discrimination, racism, old traditions. Do we need to pass on an even, like when I bring up discrimination, such as mixed problems? Our main character name is Jack, for example, and the author likes to mix fantasy with reality. So the paper macheres or the origami that they make comes to life. His mom's actually from China, and a problem is she was from a village during a revolution, and she got married off to a man who moved her to America, but they were discriminated a lot against. They're different. They're Asian Americans, and her son is mixed. Um, and there's one phrase in the text. I think it was on page 3. It's like it reads something about the mixing never seems right. As I can relate to that. I'm a mixed person, so it's actually really hard for a lot of mixed people. People want them to choose one side. I kind of understand how it is, but I wouldn't say I'm like the main character, because the main character is very disrespectful to his mother. That is the conflict in the story. He would yell at her, "Stop speaking Chinese." There's actually a phrase on page 5 that says, I said, raising my voice, "Speak English." He yells at his own mom. And personally, I think that conflict could have been resolved if the dad wasn't a pushover in the story. But other than that, it's fine. Um, what else? I'll say that I didn't know at first that the author was going to mix and match reality. I thought the origami coming to life was just the figment of Jack's imagination. I think he was named Con Con, or he names his origami Con Con. It's a tiger. Um, I'll say the author does have great elements of backstory, like going back. Like it really pulls you in when you realize at the end the mom's dead. She gives a letter that he couldn't read, and he goes around and he finds someone that can read it, and you just feel so bad that he was disrespectful to his mom. His mom had a very tragic life. She still wanted to be his mother. She still loved him, even though he's discriminating against her because he was being discriminated against. And it was just him being defensive and all that. Like there's the phrase, this is on page 10, when the letter opens up and she goes, "We haven't talked in a long time. You're so angry when I try to touch you that I'm afraid, and I think this pain I feel all the time is now something serious." Um, that is definitely like it's an inner conflict for the mom. The mom can't really touch her son. She doesn't like the son tried to speak Chinese with the other kids that were in his town, but they just couldn't. Like they're like, "Why don't you just play with GI Joes and stuff like that?" Pretty much. Even though personally, when I was a kid, as this ties in reality, as a mixed person experience, um, I definitely can see how some of that would play. If you go over to just general white folks, they want it a certain way. Like I wouldn't, black folks on the black side, I wouldn't do four wheelers and dirt bikes and hiking in the mud and all that. But then I go over to the black folks, and there's some things too, back and forth. But I definitely think that the son, I'm glad that they come back. The author really helps. Like you're developing the emotional connection to the mom and son. Not really the son. I didn't really like the son. Even though he makes the comeback, he still was very disrespectful to his mom. He should have been disciplined. I don't know. I basically think that inner conflict that was hanging over him. Like he realizes all at the end. He's like, why was I doing all that? You know, he's just trying to fit in. It was a defense mechanism. I definitely think the author was great about that. What else? Some themes. The traditions. Like he wanted to throw away traditions. He stopped doing the origami. He kept one, I think, or he just wanted real toys. He wanted his, as I said before, he was telling his mom to stop to speak English, but like he's an Asian American. It's whatever, but you should still keep, like they mention it back and forth throughout the story. These are old traditions. You should keep them into play. You should always remember them, remember where you came from, but they definitely just didn't instill that into Jack till the end. Other than that, I'll say a the dad aging, like this all just weighed on him, you know. It could have been it could have been resolved earlier, as I said before, but overall, it's still a good story. You're hooked on the characters. There's inner conflict. There's outer conflict. Between the son and the mom. He wants to give up the old traditions, but they don't want to. The dad, didn't have it, and like he just learned giving away. Like he didn't want to speak Chinese anymore. Like he should have been able to read that letter in the first place. As an Asian American and your mom speaking pure Chinese. But it was definitely a great take on the life of a mixed person, and I'm glad I was able to bring to y'all as an audience some stories to relate to coming from another mixed person. Other than that, I would recommend that you read this author some more. He definitely is very good at mixing. Like he's tiptoes around the border between reality and fiction. Like I'm guess the mom had a special skill, with origami, kind of like puppeteers, And her like she was from a village, right? And the village had, they were known for being able to, mimic, basically puppeteer, make the voice come out the animal, stuff like that. But I didn't know at first until I put some research into who the author was. This isn't imagination. This is a little magic, a little fictional. There's just a hints of fiction. And I definitely think people should read his other works. Anyways, see y'all. This was Reader Takes. Leave a like, subscribe.